This is Abe Friedtanzer from cinemadailyus.com, and I'm thrilled to be talking with Gretchen Stoeltje about her film Shouting Down Midnight, which is making its world premiere at South by Southwest. How are you today, Gretchen?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you so much for making this film. I had a chance to watch it, and I really found it very powerful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So where were you in 2013 when Wendy Davis was doing this filibuster?
Well, I was not in the Capitol. I was across the street from the Capitol because I work in transportation policy. And actually that day, the whole Senate was supposed to vote on a transportation bill before they went on to this bill. They had all agreed to do it. And instead, the lieutenant governor decided to bring this bill up first. And that meant that the entire seventh floor of the downtown headquarters building of the Department of Transportation got paid to watch Wendy Davis talk about lady parts for 13 hours while we were waiting for the transportation bill to come up. So that's where I was. But then I, went home and was glued to my computer until midnight.
So when did the process of actually making this film start?
Probably the next day, although I declined to accept its, knock on my door. For a while. So first of all, I have a day job. I had already made 3 films. It's hard. I know how hard it is. And I thought, someone else is making this, but she's, 10 people from Hollywood have called her, 10 independent filmmakers have called her. Someone's got this. It'll be fine. But the more I kind of I would get up every Saturday morning and watch, the footage again, over and over again, and just think like, God, this is fascinating. How could you possibly make a bunch of people in suits talking for 13 hours about procedure interesting? It's interesting to me, but I work in policy. So maybe that's not interesting. It won't translate, but still the stuff that was at stake, it's like in the fact that they were like eroding their own senatorial culture right there as we watched. And that's less obvious, but still that was happening. And I was like, well, this is a dismantling of democracy. And I can see it happening in little tiny steps, right? And I thought, I don't know how you would do that though. And I was outside painting paint samples of trying to figure out what color blue to paint my bedroom. And I thought, well, I won't even want to say I thought. What showed up in my head was, oh, well, you would do it through the letters that she read. She read 65 letters that day from people writing in about their abortion experiences and why they were opposed to the bill. And I thought, well, that's how you would do it. And one way or the other, from these people and their stories and the sense, like what it meant to them that their story was read out loud that day, that's what you would do. I'm sure someone's doing that. And I kind of would ask around, and there were films being made, but there wasn't that film being made. And then after a while, there were no films being made. And so I said to the idea, well, if she loses the gubernatorial race, if she wins, we'll never have access to her. So forget it. If she loses, I'll try. And so December of 2014 is when I, formed the LLC and tried to find a fiscal sponsor and said, okay, we'll try.
Wow. No, I think it really does a great job. And obviously the focus on reproductive rights is very interesting, but also just the process, this whole filibuster thing, it just seems so absurd in so many ways, both that the process exists like that and that it was so, twisted on that day in the way people objected to the most ridiculous things. Is there a value in the filibuster, or is that a process that just shouldn't exist?
Yeah, so this is something that's come up a lot in the last couple of years because of the debates about the debate in the Senate, which isn't a debate. So the US filibuster and the Texas filibuster are really different because of their rules. I think the US filibuster started out to be what we call a talking filibuster, which is kind of the brand of filibuster that we have here in Texas. But because the rules have changed so much over time, no one ever stands up and debates the bill. In Texas, because of the rules, they're super strict. You have to do it. You can't get your buddy to do it. You can't stop and go to the bathroom. You can't have a sip of water. You can't lean on your desk, and you have to stay on topic. You have to talk about the bill because there's no reading green eggs and ham on the floor, which they are allowed to do and have done recently in the US Senate. So on the one hand, it is an obstructionist performance. It's arguably just a way of kind of being a pain in the ass, right? Well, it's a way of being obstructionist, but it doesn't have to be. And I really feel like on that day, our filibuster, because it's so strict, and because of the way she chose to conduct it, really served to like stop time, bring everyone who was interested their attention to the matter, and then hold the bill authors and bill sponsors accountable for what was in the bill. And that's who she was talking to a lot of the day. Part of the day she was reading those letters, and that was like, what a great day for democracy, that an elected official is literally representing the words verbatim of some constituents. When does that happen? But also she was literally trying to gain accountability from the people who had moved the bill forward, and creating the time for people to hear their answers. And for me, I feel like that gives our filibuster, and any filibuster structured that way, it gives it credibility, even if all you're doing if all you're able to do is put the vote off one more day. But you've let people have the chance to learn what's happening and to see what's happening. Because of social media, people could actually see the process, and that's unusual. I mean, if you have all the time in the world and you get yourself up to the Capitol to sit in a gallery and wait through, this or that bill while you're waiting to hear someone talk about something, that's great, but almost no one does. So to have cameras and computers and phones in there and have all kinds of people reporting out, also really made that event that much more meaningful and made me appreciate that particular procedure.
Yeah, and I also think that one of the most poignant moments of the film that's just so unbelievable is that clip from earlier on at the beginning of Wendy's political career, when the man says, can you speak up? I have trouble hearing women's voices. And it's just one of those things, I think that would be described as a self-own or something like that, these days. But just that was just, I don't even know what to say about that.
Yeah, no, you were like, wow, did you just really say that? Wait, out loud, you said that. I know. Well, and people say that about the Texas, legislature all the time. Like, you can't make it up. This is why Miley Ivins had a job, is because every day something like that comes out of someone's mouth, and you're like, well, you're very clear about who you are.
Yeah. Well, I think that's also the nature of this whole thing, is that a film like this is such an emotional roller coaster, because it's great to see the passion and what they were able to do, but then just to have it all undone so quickly. And I feel like things like this are always like this, where it's so powerful and then just so depressing in how it ends. Does it ever get tough to be a part of this journey?
Yeah, I mean, they're in the not so distant past. I was saying to Wendy, really, why should I get up in the morning? I mean, you could say that this film is about 3 failures and 1 success, and I don't have a great answer other than her answer and then one of mine. What's really hers, which is, you never know what the effect of your action has been. Just because you didn't, get what you want, sometimes you get what you need. As I'm reminded, as the old white guys I just went and saw play rock and roll recently reminded me. But sometimes what you create is hope and courage and energy and activity for other people. And that's certainly the case with this event. And I would say with the things that our other characters have done, Then the other thing is the sense of camaraderie. I saw recently, I've stolen this line, the radical act of coming together, I can't point to, a direct through line between any of these things and better abortion law. Like right now I can't, but I have to feel like coming together on behalf of one another and on behalf of people who need it, and being kind and strong, asking lawmakers and policymakers for accountability and asking why. Maybe that's all we have at the moment, but I also feel like it might be enough, and maybe it will get us to the next place.
Yeah, the energy of this film actually reminds me of another one that I saw at South by Southwest a few years ago, which is Running with Beto, which was right when he was in the middle of his presidential campaign. But I remember that there was a volunteer who was there who had worked on his senatorial campaign, who was so, so emblazoned by the blue wave of Texas campaign and all that, but just she said she couldn't even be a part of the presidential campaign because it was too painful to go back and relive this. But now I know that Beto is running against Greg Abbott. Is there hope? What is it like? What is the feeling like in Texas right now?
I mean, I think there's an enormous amount of hope. He is just so compassionate, and he connects with people so well. I was just watching a live stream of him in College Station a couple of days ago, and talking about talking to people, homeless people, and why they get themselves arrested, because in jail is the only place they're going to get health care. And I mean, I feel really strongly about him in the same way I do about Wendy, which is I feel like they really are interested in understanding people's stories, understanding the circumstances that they as lawmakers might be able to change or improve on. They really are interested. They don't just want to get elected. I mean, they do. You'd have to do that. But I think they actually really do care. And they really are, I guess the word I really like about both of them is curious. Curiosity, I feel like, requires that you suspend judgment and that you make some steps towards empathy if you really are curious about wanting to understand something. And I feel like they both are. He is. And I vote for curiosity. I have hope for curiosity and a huge amount of compassion, which he does. And I don't know. I mean, it took Biden 3 times, right? Maybe if you just keep, maybe the lesson is perseverance, I don't know.
Well, for your film, I couldn't think of a better place for it to premiere than South by Southwest. How does it feel to have that as the launching pad?
It's pretty exciting. So first of all, Austin's my hometown. So it is thrilling for me to get to premiere it here. But more importantly, most of the events happened here. And so for it to be premiering in a theater 11 blocks from the state capitol is really thrilling. I hope there's a march from the capitol to the theater. And also the characters, most of them are here. And so it's really nice for me that they will be able to be here on the day it premieres, and most of the crew, is here too, and they'll be able to be here. And so that's just, when you're, as you probably know, being a filmmaker, you can spend for me, the last 8 years, in a cave by yourself, and being able to come out and be at a festival, and especially a festival like this one, it's just sort of like proof that it happened, and again, one last time to kind of be together, before, as the cast and the crew, before the film takes off and has its own life, in the world.
Yeah, it's exciting. Well, Shouting Down Midnight makes its world premiere in the documentary Spotlight section at South by Southwest. For more great content like this, please subscribe to the Cinema Daily US YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Gretchen, for speaking with me today, and good luck with this film. And let's hope for a liberal future for Texas.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks so much.